What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Sally's Speed Shop. What we have right here is a 1965 Ford Mustang Fastback. That's right. This car, along with this 68 right here, there's a Ford Granada over there, and a 66 Fastback that's a lot rougher than this one, all came from behind a house, and my dad bought them for $500 total. And this wasn't 20 years ago. This was like a year ago. That's right, two Fastback Mustangs for $500 with two parts cars. So what we're gonna be doing today is showing you this car, introducing the project, because my plan in the future is to build this into a ratty Trans Am era Fastback Mustang. So yeah, it's a little rough around the edges, but I think it's got potential. Let's show you around this old pony car. So if you stand back and squint just the right amount, it actually looks pretty good. But once you get up close, you realize it basically doesn't have a straight panel on it. There's definitely damage just about everywhere you look. It's got a bunch of mismatched body panels. Yeah, a little bit of rust here and there, but you know, it's got some good bones. Doesn't have an engine or transmission, but it did come with a whole host of parts. So the missing headlight bezels, the missing grille, like there's all kinds of stuff that came with this car. Inside, it's got some floors that are kind of there, but there's holes throughout. It's got some stuff in it. The fender wells are still pretty solid. The rear portion of the floor in this car is actually pretty good. The front portion is basically the Flintstone mobile. Most everything is gutted out of this car, but it also came with a ton of spare parts. So I have everything for the interior essentially. I don't believe we have front seats, but we do have the rear seat that folds down into a flat deck. The worst rust in the whole car is actually probably this roof skin right here. If you look up, you see daylight and the green of the trees through the roof of the car, which just provides extra ventilation for the passengers, I'm sure. But as a whole, not too bad. Little hole here, little hole up there. It probably just needs half floors put in it because the transmission tunnel actually looks really nice. I don't even know if I want to truly fix this roof. You can buy a roof skin for these cars, but I think just kind of cutting this out and English wheeling an aluminum panel with some bead rolling in it and then riveting it on would be kind of a really cool look for an old race car. And you know, aluminum's lighter than steel, maybe not lighter than this rust, but still a performance mod. Rockers are pretty decent. There's nothing like horrible, really. It's got its windows, obviously. We do have glass for the rear, and we'll be able to get a windshield for this because it's just a Mustang windshield. It's got some Bondo, it's got a bullet hole. There's definitely a story behind this car. I don't know the entire story. This car actually is a pretty solid car. So rather than restoring it, because that would take entirely too much time and money, having a ratty Fastback actually sounds properly fun to me. Do a vintage inspired Trans Am build, just put her back on the road and enjoy it. Other than the rear portion of the roof, you know, these are basically the same as the coupe. Under the hood, we are missing pretty much everything. There's a little bit of rust where the battery tray is, of course, because that's how they always are, but the frame rails are nice and straight and solid, just surface rust. The shock towers look very intact and they're not bent up or anything. Still got its steering box in it and its suspension along with the cross member, so there are some things here. This car is VIN code 5R09C, so that is a 65 Fastback 289 4-barrel built in San Jose, California. This car would have had a 4-speed originally. Back here, the car's actually pretty decent on this side, you know, except for that one bullet hole I pointed out earlier. But, you know, I think we could build something out of it. It looks like the car might have been blue originally, but at the same time, who knows, that could have been a repaint too. I think the bottom layer almost looks maroon, possibly just rust though. But yeah, you see more maroon in there. So maybe that's what color this car was originally. There's a blue hood, which I don't think came on this car. I think that came off of the other Fastback. The lip here in the trunk is actually pretty decent on this side. The rear of the car is pretty solid and straight. This side is probably the worst body part of the car. It's obviously been damaged and had a good bit of Bondo slathered all over it, and then they never even sanded it. So I don't know what somebody was doing there. But a little more rust here where the Fastback roof comes and meets the quarter panel. A little tiny bit of rust here in the inside lip of the deck lid. But, you know, this side of the car, frame rail looks really good. Floor of the trunk looks really good. The gas tank would go right here, so it's not missing the floor entirely. The gas tank actually bolts and sits down through this hole. This side doesn't look nearly as good though. Tiny little bit of damage to the actual structural frame rail, but the rest is just sheet metal that can be bought and fixed. All in all, it's really not that bad. It's ratty, yeah, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely buildable, and people have built much worse. People actually spend crazy money for these fastbacks nowadays, so to have a ratty one that we could turn into something cool, I'm all about it. My overall plan is either a 289 or a 302 under the hood, a 4-speed or a 5-speed, and just a vintage look, and then drive the freaking wheels off the thing. I don't know when we're gonna get around to this one exactly, but I wanted to introduce you to the car and show you what we're working with, because it's not often you see a ratty $500 Mustang Fastback anymore, and this is exactly that. Basically, all I want to do in this video is give you an intro to this car and show you what we're working with, but I'm not actually here to start building this project yet. My buddy Mike Bozelli, you might know him as the Old Car Channel or Classic Mustangs 429 back in the day. He actually is coming down from Canada with his 65 Fastback and needs a rear end built for the car. So this car has a Ford 8-inch in it, which you can see through this hole here. If you look down there, that is a very anemic Ford 8-inch. But when all you have is a 289, that is more than enough rear end for your cars. So what I'm going to be doing is pulling the third member out of this car and building it to go in his car when he gets down here, and he'll be giving me his old third member in exchange. We're going to keep it 28 splined, but it's getting an Eaton TrueTrac with a ring and pinion and new bearings and all this stuff he's sending. Basically all I'm doing is harvesting it out of this car, cleaning it up, painting it, rebuilding it, and then we'll slap it in his car when he gets down here. There you go. So I'm gonna jack this car up, get it up in the air, pull the wheels and tires off, pull the axles out a little bit, and then drop the third member out of it. Slide the axles back in, bolt them in place, and set the car back on the ground without a third member inside the rear end housing. It'll be fine though. Let's get after it. Yeah, when your tire stands up on its own like that, it's generally not a good sign. Ugh. These lug nuts are super rusty, and as a result, they are getting stuck in my sockets, which is very annoying. And this wheel only had 2 lug nuts. All right. Hey look, this tire stands up on its own too. Yeah. Oh, there's ants everywhere. Great. So now we need to see about getting these drums off, and that's probably gonna be easier said than done. Those are pretty well on there. Lovely. Man, that is really on there. I think I'm gonna need a bigger hammer. So I have a buddy of mine who swears by this concoction. This is ATF and acetone mixed together, and he claims it's the best penetrating oil you can use. So I mix them up. We're gonna see how it works. And I got a bigger hammer. Oh, it's moving. So we're making some progress. It's still very much so on there, but it's at least moving. I need a better angle. All right. So much rust. Awful. Hasn't really moved yet, at least not anything significant. I need to get the top to move. I think once I get the top to break loose, we'll be all right. Oh yeah, we're moving. We just need to keep it moving. Ow! Yikes, smashed my finger. How? I hope you're happy, Mike. Covered in rust and smashing my fingers for you. Whew, good times. We're gonna try some pry bars on this thing. See if we can get it to pry off of there instead of having to beat it with a hammer. We got movement, that's for sure. Might need a second pry bar. Man, there's a lot of stuff coming out of this brake drum. All right, gotta get one on top as well. Oh yeah, there we go. That's the recipe for success right there. 2 pry bars. Jeez, this thing is on there. It's still pretty dang tight. Oh gosh. Maybe if I pry top and bottom again like I was doing, because there's no shoes in the way at the top and the bottom. Oh yeah, there we go. I only broke it slightly right there, but that's one off. So now what you can do is you can get to the bolts that are holding the axle in place. Let me show you. So you see this hole in the actual axle flange? Well, as you rotate the axle, that'll come and line up with a bolt that's inside there, and you can take that nut off. That allows you to pull the axle out of the rear end, which then disengages it from the center section, and then you drop the center section. Speaking of the third member, yeah, not sure what's going on there. We'll have to unpack that once we get these axles loose. And let's do this again. Oh, we're almost loose. All right, we're loose on the hub and off of the shoes, so we should be able to get this thing off with some pry bar action now. All right, got that in there. Give it a couple whacks. Ah, that side came off way easier. Boom. Now we'll spray a little of this on these nuts and get these axles out. So now, hopefully, if all things are as they should be, this axle will simply pop out. But being as it's a million years old, it's generally not how it goes. Of course not. Gonna have to get creative here. I don't have a slide hammer handy, or I would just use a slide hammer to pull this thing out. So here's kind of the idea I came up with. I have this general like universal puller here, and I can slip it behind the axle flange, screw the actual bolt into it, and this should allow me to push off the backing plate and hopefully pop this axle right out of there. So I'm gonna try it, and we're gonna see if we break something or if this is possibly the most genius thing I've ever come up with in my life. Let's get this right at the top so we're getting something nice and solid. Thread this thing all the way in until it touches, and then we're gonna put the impact on it because slow and cautious, that would be if I truly cared about this rear end. Time for me to go get the impact and ram this sucker on there, see if this axle will pop out. All right, let's see if this works. Well, I think it mostly worked. Well, I don't know what just happened here. So everything's all sideways. And just like that, we've got that sucker out of there. Whole backing plate will come off because there's no bolts holding it on, so just kind of tuck it up in place, pull the axle shaft out of the way. It allows that to spin freely without turning the center section in there, and that way when you take the center section bolts out, it can pull out the front without the axle holding it in. So now all we have to do is get the other side off and then get under the car and work on the center section. I feel like Chris Fix over here, except I'm wearing gloves that actually don't rip apart immediately because this is a little more intense than an oil change. All right, time for the other side. Oh my goodness, why is this so stuck? All right, we're just gonna pull the whole thing. All right, let's go for this side. Got that side out, now it's time for the center section. So now we've got both axles spinning freely, separate from the third member, and now I get to climb under there and mess with that nest or whatever's going on. That wasn't too bad. Who knows the last time this car was worked on? It's been a long time that this thing's been sitting, so they put up a little bit of a fight, but if you get a little resourceful, use some wrong tools the right way, you can make it happen. Let's get under the car. All right, got myself a rug laid down as well as a little foam mat, so I'm a little bit more comfortable, but obviously something got tangled up in the yoke of this third member. I'm just gonna leave it for now rather than making a mess and just focus on taking the bolts off and getting this sucker out of here. It's definitely not the cleanest part I've ever pulled off of an old car. So I'm gonna try not to get this crap all in my face, but I'm probably gonna fail at that. I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to get these nuts off. I will say there is a lot of buildup on this rear end. Got myself a drain pan, and I'm gonna use a hammer and a socket to attempt to get onto these nuts because they are very covered in grime. These sockets not just going on there. I think with enough oomph, we'll be able to handle it. All right, let's see if these come off of here like they should. Oh, sucks. This is not very fun. It's always a good idea to wear safety glasses when you're under a car like this, so that's what I'm doing. Let's see. Let's get this drain pan under here in case it starts leaking. And just go one at a time. It's gonna take a minute. Let's just do like the little buzz, 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 and then we'll be done. All right, let's see if we can avoid making a mess. So far, so good. All right, Mike, this is fun and all, but I have one request from you. Will you smuggle me down some of that good Canadian maple syrup, please? Because, yeah, I'm having a grand old time under this old car. Oh, goodness. All right, now it's time for one of my favorite tricks to get one of these loose. So I'm gonna grab my jack, and we're gonna push up on the front of this thing, and it should pop this thing off. We still have a nut on the top that's finger tight, and that'll keep it from falling out completely. So let's see how it goes. Go up with this thing. So I'm gonna try to use my drain pan to catch what comes out, but no promises on that. Oh, I'm catching all of it. Yeah, worked like a charm. Now we'll just let that drain and then pull it all the way out. Let's get the jack out of the way. Then I'm going to attempt to move my rug without making a mess. Let's see how that goes. So far, so good. A little bit more. Perfect. Now I can pull this out without getting any crap all over my rug. Even better. Now comes the fun part of getting this thing out of here without hurting yourself. So let's see how that goes. Come on. Almost there. There we go. Got that sucker out of there, and now we get to take it and pressure wash it and focus on rebuilding it. I'll get it out from under here and we'll do a little inspection of it and see what we're dealing with. That's a win. Oh, I think we're just gonna drag this whole thing because I'm not gonna try to lift that right now. Let's see. Moby was supervising the whole time, making sure we did all the work right, and that came out of there just fine, don't you think, bud? But got it here on the tailgate of the truck, and other than this giant nest that it has on it for some reason, like, it's actually pretty good. So we'll get that out of the way. I think something just got tangled up, some long grass or something got tangled up in this thing, and did that. But on the inside, the thing is actually really nice. Like, I am pleasantly surprised by how nice this thing is internally. I'm gonna do my best to count the teeth real quick, and I have no idea if this is an open diff or not because you can't see anything here in this 8-inch, and I've never worked on a Ford 8-inch, so I don't know what to look for to tell you if it's a posi or an open diff. we'll do some investigating and find out. We're gonna be putting an Eaton TrueTrac in it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just happy that everything looks very healthy in here. And even the gear oil, like, I don't know if the color comes through on camera, but it's really not bad at all. So it's not even completely black. That's a win. The car might look rough, which it definitely does. Moby agrees, it looks rough. But the parts that are coming out of it actually look pretty good. So now that we got this out of here, I'll do a little inspection of it, and then I'll take it and pressure wash it and make it look nice and beautiful so we can prep it for paint and make it look good when we give it to Mike. I'm not gonna give him this dirty old rear end, gotta make it pretty. Well, I'm glad I got that third member out when I did, because look what just showed up tonight. Quick Performance sent over a package with a bunch of goodies to rebuild this thing. So I'm actually running one of their rear ends in my El Camino. We have ourselves the differential, which is an Eaton TrueTrac. If you've never driven a TrueTrac, I highly recommend you try it one day because they are amazing. So that'll be going in there along with brand new bearings and seals from a master rebuild kit from Yukon Gear and Axle. And we're gonna be doing a 325 gear in this thing, which is a great compromise between a pretty high, steep performance gear and a more tame highway gear. So 325 kind of falls right in the middle. It'll work good for Mike, who drives this thing all the time. Literally, he's driving it down from Canada. So yeah, Eaton TrueTrac with a brand new 325 ring and pinion and all fresh bearings and seals. This thing is gonna be like new before you know it. And shout out to Quick Performance, they even sent over koozies. So that's a major win. We'll get this thing cleaned up tomorrow, pressure wash it, get it ready to go, tear it down, basically set up the new stuff that's going to be going in it and get it to Mike. Before I get started building that rear end, I want to get this car back on all four wheels and tires. So let me show you a little trick I learned a few years back when I was working at Kenwood Rod Shop to get a car without a center section that has a 9-inch or an 8-inch back on the ground. Right here is the center section. As you can see, obviously, the differential is missing. Rather than the axles just being held on the outside by the bearing and the bearing retainer, I like to put a piece of pipe here in the center section. It doesn't let them deflect up and down. That way, this car could still be rolled around if necessary, rather than being stuck here without wheels and tires on the back. We're gonna be getting the third member out of Mike's car when he comes down, and it'll be able to go in here and make this thing a true roller, but this works for now. Little trick I learned. There you go. What you doing, Mobs? Come here. Hey there, bud. It's another day. We got Moby out here hanging out in the front yard, and I broke out the pressure washer and the sweet patina get gone degreaser. We're gonna clean up these parts real quick and make them look a lot better than they were. I got this all taken apart, so now I can clean it all up and make way for the new hotness. Here we go. Well, there we go. With the help of a little sweet patina degreaser, we've got this thing cleaned up. Obviously, there's still like this caked on junk that even a pressure washer won't touch, so we'll have to wire wheel it. But it's nice and clean on the inside, free of all the old grease and gear oil that's been in there all these years. So now I just got to take it back to the shop, wire wheel the crap out of it, and then it'll be pretty much ready to be built. And you can even see some of that original red paint that they put on this thing back in the day, which is the same color I will be painting it once I build it. Making it happen. Whew, that was a mess. So I've been doing more work on the third member for Mike's Mustang. Got this thing all cleaned up. You remember how gross it was. And wire wheeled the whole thing, cleaned it with some brake clean. And now I'm gonna paint it with this Max Flex All Surface from Glidden. It's brick red. It's pretty much the exact same color that they used to paint these things. You can still see some of the red paint, and this will look pretty much like factory. So here we go. let's get to painting, and then it's time to actually build the center section with the Eaton TrueTrac and the new ring and pinion. All right, well, I didn't film any more of building Mike's third member, but it is in the truck here, and I am ready to leave for Hotrod Power Tour. We've got a bunch of good people back here, the Cam Racing crew, my buddy Ridiculous, who just drove from freaking Canada like a lunatic in his Mustang with a voodoo swap. So, second gen Camaro, Dodge Challenger, S550 Mustang, there's a Plymouth Duster, 911, all kinds of killer cars, and we're about to head out from our place to Atlanta Motor Speedway and check in for the first stop of Hotrod Power Tour 2023. There we go. Well, it is night 2 here on Hotrod Power Tour, and I didn't film any of it, so if you want to see the actual building of the diff here in the parking lot, basically we just set it up. It was already built at my shop, and we finished setting it up. We've got a pretty nice wear pattern going on the ring gear. It feels really good on the preload. I think everything's good to go, and look how pretty it is compared to what it looked like when I pulled it out of the car. So what do you think, Mike?
I love it. I love it.
You're happy with this roadside awfulness that we just did?
We got 2 of the great trucks here helping us out.
Yeah, so Spider Garage is here with their mobile welding rig, and we both have these bright earth LEDs, so it's like a shop here in a parking lot. All the light in the world. I had the second opinion of the other third member expert.
Good enough for me.
We're both experts. That's ready to go in his car tomorrow.
Tomorrow on day 3.
Yeah, because it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're idiots for doing this late. And the concept is, this video will end with Mike doing a 2-wheel burnout rather than 1. We're gonna go get some sleep, and then get... It is possible. They're 28 spline, right? It'll be fine. So, yeah. Put that thing to bed.
She'll be fine.
Get back to it tomorrow. All right, it is officially night 3 of Hotrod Power Tour. We set up the diff last night in the parking lot, and it's ready to go in the car. So
here we are.
Now we need to clean up this mating surface, get the old diff out of the Fastback, and get ready to put the new diff in the Fastback, and then Mike has to immediately do a burnout.
What's the diff?
Yeah, no, he's gonna break it in like a responsible individual, unlike me, who would immediately go rev limiter burnout out of the hotel parking lot. But yeah, this thing's ready to go in, and we're just gonna do a time lapse. I'm not gonna get technical because you saw me take it out of the car in my yard. It's the same process, just putting a nice new one in instead of taking an old junky one out. Yeah. So, cue the time lapse and the music.
But days in the middle of the friggin' night.
Anthony knows.
Anthony gets it. Look, he's already a YouTube star.
What state are we in, Anthony?
State of confusion?
Total confusion.
Total confusion. So what do you think about the stupidity of what we're doing right now, Anthony?
No, I think you know what you're doing. But you might have picked a better time to do it.
It's not wrong. You know what?
This guy's way smarter than us.
He's a quite wise person, apparently, after we talked to him.
You know, daylight might have helped. A shop definitely would.
That's a shop. It's just on wheels.
And is this hotel going to get slightly pissed that you're doing major mechanical work?
My car's broken.
To a vehicle?
I have to fix it or else it'll stay here forever.
Well, the good thing
It's not broken.
The good thing is, I've got a spill kit in the back of my truck.
Well, we're good. If we need help, Anthony's jumping under the car. So anyway, cue the time lapse. We're gonna get to work.
Not my car.
Here we go. Well, there we go. I am underneath Mike's car here in a hotel parking lot because we just installed that beautiful thing. So new third member is in. We've got a Eaton TrueTrac in here now. The old 280 gear is out, 323 is in. Drive shaft is bolted up. Mike is putting the axle in on that side, and then he's gonna reassemble the other side while I tighten that side. We'll top this off with fluid, put the car back on the ground, and go for a test drive. What do you think, Mike?
I think we're not going to have any issues because I have faith in you, Jacob.
That makes one of us.
Yeah, even though there's still the thought
Do you want my little bit of commentary?
you're a little worried.
It's always possible that it blows
I
up.
know.
Even experts mess things up, and I am not an expert when it comes to these. But it should be fine.
Remember Solomon?
Oh yeah.
Conversation we just had about faith?
Yeah, we gotta have a little faith.
Yeah.
It's funny though, I didn't know exactly what the rear end of his car looked like. I assumed it was, you know,
Whoa.
like that. So it kind of looks a little out of place. But the QA1 shocks do make it look, you know, more reasonable. Just look right there and it looks fantastic. So there we go. Next time you see us, the car will be on the ground and we'll be firing it up and seeing if it moves without exploding. What'd you think, Anthony? No words? Speechless.
No commentary?
No commentary.
He is speechless for the first time tonight.
You just rebuilt a rear end and a parking lot
Yep.
in Rockingham, North Carolina,
Yep.
and made it look like a piece of piss.
A piece of piss?
Oh, come on. I thought it was going to be a compliment.
No, I mean no. Piece of piss means
That's a good
you
thing.
made it look.
Easy.
Oh, that's a good thing. Okay. Sorry, I don't speak Irish. Well, what's funny,
You
piece
sat
of piss.
there.
we're in Rockingham, North Carolina. I virtually guarantee you rear ends have been rebuilt in the same parking lot for NASCAR crews back in the day. Because this motel kind of looks old. We're just following in the ways of our ancestors.
No, you're following tradition. Yeah.
Our ancestors were also idiots. Mike just fired the Mustang up. I gotta move the truck out of the way. And then I'm gonna jump in the passenger seat and we're gonna go for a little drive and see how it does. There we go. Oh, well, it at least moves. That's a good start.
Yeah, no clunking or grinding or any metal noise.
That's a nice bump. That's one way to break it in. I thought he was gonna be so tame and calm. He just let it eat. It didn't blow up.
No.
We're still driving. That
Yeah.
means it's not complete garbage.
No noise.
That's good on Excel. Let's decel. That's pretty quiet. I mean, there might be a touch of noise, but it's also brand new. It's got to wear together still.
Right. So
For being brand new, it's
so
silent.
when you were telling me not to, or just do a burnout, you were joking or were you serious?
I was pretty much joking, but also that's the way I make sure something's not going to blow up on me. Because if it can do a burnout once, it can probably drive down the road. It's my logic. Yeah, those are very mated together now. Solid. Does it feel peppier?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it broke both loose.
Yeah, but like it's a
tell
better
right away.
gear too.
I mean,
You weren't even paying attention to that.
Yeah.
You were just like, is it going to explode?
yeah, basically.
I think they call that a win. Oh, that sounds great.
Nothing at all. Ignore the fenders scraping.
Ah, it's fine. That's what happens when you slam your car. I think you're dialed. Oh, yeah. Anticlimactic moment, yeah. Do the whole.
Yeah. Dylan! I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome.
Alright, time to throw his dad in it. Let's see what he thinks of it. Good?
Yeah, we can leave that. Yeah.
happy?
Oh yeah, 2 lines. It didn't blow up.
Lot happier. There's no noise.
Whining at all. It's good, good, good. Thank Jesus. Thank Jacob.
Well, the old girl made it back. Oh, and I don't hear any noise. It's so smooth and quiet. Yes, absolute win. He's good to go. Spinning both tires.
Absolutely.
Feeling
Awesome.
All right, it's time for bed.
Yep.
Jacob, you're the man.
Give him the old razzle dazzle. Give him the old razzle dazzle. Perfect.
Dude, it was amazing.
Well, there we go. That is a wrap on the diff build for Mike Bozelli, the old car channel. If you want to watch more cool Ford content, a lot of different stuff, go check him out on YouTube. He reached out to me, asked if I could help. I said, sure thing. Why not? I don't have any time, but I'll do it anyway. And look, here we are in Power Tour. The plan came together, and the car now has an Eaton TrueTrac, 325 gears, and is just ready to rip. So I'm gonna say thank you to Mike, as much as it probably makes no sense. Thank you for the opportunity. This was fun. I truly enjoyed it.
It's been great.
And now you need to come south, and we need to build another Fastback Mustang, because this car and the car that diff came out of were built in the same plant in 1965.
Same plant, San Jose.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please remember to hit that subscribe button. It means a lot more than you know. It actually makes a difference. So go hit it now. It's not just saying that. And drop a like. Let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like. I'll see you guys on the next one. And one last thing before we go. Mike's car is on the road. It's the next day. But there was a certain agreed upon price for this job, and he hasn't come through on his end of the deal yet.
Some fresh Canadian. Look at that.
100%
Maple syrup in the
Canadian
glass container.
maple syrup. Yes, that's exciting right there.
Family, friends, actual
That's awesome.
syrup company. So yeah.
Sweet.
Go, brother.
Thank you, Mike. I'm gonna go chug it.
Go have some pancakes.
Thanks for watching, guys.